Hello, hello, and welcome to this episode of the Nerds of the North podcast, episode number 45. That's a number. Let's go. Um, Today we're going to be talking about Obi-Wan, Stranger Things, and I know Nick has been a good banana in terms of his nerdy viewing this week. I've had a whole lot going on this week and haven't had as much of a chance. But at any rate, I'm host number one, Matt, as always, and joining me, as always, is host number two,
Nicholas.
Yes, Nicholas, as he is known as exclusively. So yeah, I guess we're going to kick things off with Obi-Wan. The first two episodes dropped when the show initially came out last week, and we have a new episode that came out this week, so part 3. I know we talked a little bit about the first two episodes last week, so I guess we'll kind of just focus more on what's going on with this most recent episode. So, Nick, what are your initial impressions? What do you think?
Well, I'm before you today with a little bit of unkeptness, as you might be able to tell. I haven't taken a shower yet, and I feel a little gross, but
just oozes sex.
Don't
worry.
Yeah, yep. This is beautiful, disheveled hair. I think I liked it. I liked it more than the first two episodes. Vader was in it, pretty intense, as much as you can make it intense. I thought some of the stuff Vader did was pretty crazy. Like he snapped the little kid's neck. I mean, he was like killing people to draw Obi-Wan out.
Right.
Spoilers, I guess. And he force grabs Obi-Wan, drags him into the flame, oil, fire, whatever it was, and was trying to basically torture him and I think disfigure him like he was disfigured on Mustafar. So that was pretty interesting. I think Freck, the mole man, was pretty great. Apparently he was voiced by Zach Braff. So.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah, I like this kind of just sort of chipper voice. That voice is great.
Yeah.
There's a few scenes I'm still kind of like tonally. I think it's a little funny. Like I don't know if I love the tone on some parts.
Really?
Yeah, it just seems kind of weird. Like you have like sort of the child actor, but you also are killing young children and slicing stormtroopers in half. It's like, is it made for kids or is it made for adults? And there's that one scene, I don't want to be too critical, but it did like what the heck? Like they literally could have just jumped this laser fence. Why did you like go out of your way to like blow this thing up?
I actually had that exact same thought. I was thinking like, why make a bunch of noise like blasting the fence? That's literally like there you have ways to walk around it on both sides. I don't know why he went for that method.
Yeah. And some stuff in it just feels a little contrived to me, like when the mole guy finds them in the desert and the stormtroopers just kind of let them go.
Right.
It just seems like they were exactly the kind of people that they were looking for. A man and a young child.
We're looking for a Jedi. I know you just got here, but have you seen any Jedi?
Yeah, it just seemed a little too.
Actually,
like they should have been able to detain them or something in that moment. But I guess the mole guy knew that he was going to bring them to the checkpoint. So who knows?
I was kind of wondering if any of those stormtroopers that were in that like space truck with them in Freck's vehicle were maybe people that we should recognize, perhaps.
Oh, like stars.
Yeah,
I do find it interesting they have female stormtroopers. I didn't think that was a thing.
Yeah, maybe that's more of an Empire thing. Like, who'd look at the Empire being all inclusive and shit?
Yeah, seriously.
Let's see. I don't know if I'm gonna find it like a full cast and crew for the stormtroopers because like they had like a couple of them had quite a few lines. I was thinking like it'd be kind of weird if or they like shoving random famous people into these stormtrooper costumes because I always still think about how crazy it is that like Daniel Craig was
Yeah,
stormtrooper in Force Awakens. Like that, that factoid still kind of blows my mind every time I see it.
I think there was another famous guy in a stormtrooper outfit in one of the other movies as well, the sequels. But I don't care enough to look it up right now. So
It was really fun seeing. I'm now seeing her name. I recognize her from a lot of things, but Indira Varma.
yeah,
Um,
she was in Game of Thrones. That's where I recognized her from.
yeah,
One of those. I don't think she was a sand snake, but she was down in from the southern areas of the Seven Kingdoms.
oh yeah.
Used to be a big Game of Thrones guy, but now I'm drawing a blank on what that.
It's because you're actively keeping it out of your mind now. You just can't stand the idea of looking back at it.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, no, I mean, like, I thought the episode was really cool. Like, I was wondering, I mean, I guess they don't ever specifically point out in A New Hope that like Vader and Obi-Wan hadn't seen each other since Mustafar. I guess it's kind of implied, but like not strictly spoken that way, right?
yeah. There's a line in New Hope where it's because this was addressed that like it doesn't really make it clear that they hadn't fought or seen each other since Mustafar. And it's like I think it was like Vader says you're weaker or something than when I saw you last, or it's something like that. Which
Okay, so so there could be multiple encounters between them in this show, which I imagine there probably will be. But I remember thinking initially, like, do they actually see each other before the fight on the Death Star? But I guess that answers that. So,
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, outside of a few, like, there are a few silly spots in these episodes. Like we talked about, some of the chase sequences with young Leia being really silly from the first few or first two.
yes.
And this episode, she didn't have nearly as much screen time. This episode, I
Thankfully,
feel
to
like.
me, I think thankfully.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd say thankfully. Like, I think she's kind of getting more into the zone of trusting Obi-Wan and maybe not like questioning him so much on like how they're doing things or who he's trusting.
Yeah. Dorne. Game of Thrones. That's the
Yes.
the kingdom of Dorne.
I was gonna bother you until you found it.
Yeah, and Oberyn. She was Oberyn's girlfriend, essentially.
Yeah.
Who is also the Mandalorian. So I guess we're all crossing over into Star Wars these days. But
Full circle.
yep.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't have anything necessarily too horribly negative to say. I mean, there's a silly gate scene. I do really love seeing Vader because this is like a very fresh Vader, comparative to how we've seen him. Fresh being, 10 years off the line, but regardless, it's still pretty fresh in his mind how much he hates Obi-Wan for what he did to him. His, perceived hatred and laying blame on him for what happened with everything. I do find it a little weird that because we know for sure that Obi-Wan doesn't tell Leia that Vader's her dad in the course of this show. But they've spent like a pretty large amount of time with one another at this juncture. Like for that to have not been discussed, because she's already caught on to the fact that he knows or he knew her mother. So to not bring up the fact that like, oh yeah, man, I wondered what my dad is like. It's like, yeah, me too.
Yeah, I did think that was sort of a sweet moment when she asked if Obi-Wan was her father.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. And
Yeah.
Ian McGregor is such a great actor. And Quinlan, I like the mention of Quinlan, who's a pretty big character in Legends and the EU and that in general. So that was kind of a cool name drop. So that'd be cool if he was introduced more into the actual canon. I guess lastly, the thing I'll mention is just the sheer fear on Obi-Wan's face when he sees Darth Vader approaching. I thought was great, and really that moment should have a lot of pathos to it, because I mean, we haven't seen these characters together. Well, I haven't since I was like a child, and to see Obi-Wan and Vader interact again,
right, like for the first time in forever.
Yeah, at least in live action, was for me like almost like a religious moment, where it's kind of like I'm in awe that this is happening in a way.
I love the moment, but I will say that like my initial reaction to it was almost more like of a sacrilegious thing. It's like, are they allowed to do that? Like, like, but I think that speaks to like how big of a moment that is, though, right? Like, how tremendously important those interactions are between Anakin and Obi-Wan post Vader transformation. Like, that's a huge deal.
Wow, I just realized the table next to me is just covered in magic cards and books and stuff, and my fake candles.
I meant to ask if those were real candles or not.
No, like, my mom sent them to me. They're pretty cool. They're on a timer, so they come on at 5 and turn off at 10. But they're pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's a better back. Like, I have my mess of 3D printing shit behind me, and just it's an absolute disaster back there.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, like I said, I think I like this one more than the first two, and it's really, I'll be really interested to see more interactions between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. So, and I'm curious. I mean, the Grand Inquisitor can't be dead. I knew that was gonna freaking annoy me when they did that, because I hate because he's obviously he can't be dead, but it just, if that would break canon so much if he died, and it just bugs me. Like, I hate that. Just tell me he's alive. Like,
well, because at this point they keep implying like he's dead, but I guess they haven't. Again, like, this might be more of like a trickery of words type situation where, like, I'm going to be the new Grand Inquisitor. They haven't exactly ruled out the fact that could be alive at this point. So, like,
well, I assume that Darth Vader knows he's alive. I mean, he has to be alive. So he could just be using Reva for her desire to move up in the organization, as one does.
Yeah, she's climbing that corporate ladder, one dead Jedi at a time. Oh God.
Yeah. So that's my closing thoughts. It was actually kind of funny because it was Wednesday and I had Monday and Tuesday off, and then it was like midway through Wednesday, I'm like, wait, like, why are people talking about the new episode of Obi-Wan? I'm like, oh yeah, it doesn't come out on Fridays. It's going to come out on Wednesdays. It
comes out on Wednesdays.
And so it was like less than a week between the premiere and the third episode. But I was like, holy crap, okay, I'm going to watch this right now.
I know.
This is kind of shocking to me.
I know. I literally got done watching that episode right before this podcast started recording. So I was happy to actually get that done.
Yeah, I like how the planet, I can't remember what it's called now that they were on. It's like, oh yeah, that's definitely Southern California.
I know. I know. I was actually just thinking too, like I feel like there's a lot of M names on these planets, but
this is the planet we're on now is Macaroni.
Yeah, right. Macaroni.
This is a planet of macaroni.
Marzipan. Let's see. Yeah. But no, I mean, I really don't have like a ton of commentary on the episode, though. Like, there wasn't anything I thought that was like too egregiously bad. Just like a few little moments of like, you know. But I mean, Leia once again getting captured. This is maybe a bit of a gripe, is that this is following a trend of Leia separates from Obi-Wan, and every time she's away from Obi-Wan, she gets kidnapped by a different party. So it's like I'm hoping that doesn't just happen every fucking episode at this point.
Yeah.
Like, all right, we got her. I'm bringing her back.
There was one scene in the show where like Leia calls down like the passport that Freck is on, and nobody's like, Obi-Wan's like, no, don't do that. I'm like, it just comes off like really funny. She's like literally a 10-year-old girl, and he's like, don't do that, Leia. Like, she's like a kid. Like you're talking to her like, I don't know. There's a weird tonal thing I think with Leia, because she does seem a lot younger than 10 even to me. Like just the actress does, even if she is like 9.
Yeah,
she just doesn't
9,
seem
but
10. Like 10-year-olds, like they're obviously still kids, but they seem like little adults. And Leia to me seems like she could be like 5 or 6 or something. I don't know, but
it's weird. Yeah, like tonally, yeah, I think you're right. Like tonally, there's something kind of off, and it's because they can't quite make up their mind what they want to do with her. Yeah, like in some moments, like she's so grown up and has a lot of insight into things, but then other moments, like it seems like the behavior of someone much younger based on how she's behaving. So,
and just with the
know.
actress, like just the way she looks, I mean,
Mhm.
she just looks young, like really
she
young.
does. She really does.
Yeah.
But
anyway, yeah, we can move on, or if you have any other thoughts on it.
No, I mean, like I'm still really enjoying the show. I think this show is doing a lot better in capturing my interest at this juncture than, for comparison, like the Book of Boba Fett. I still liked that show, but like there is definitely some intrigue that's happening in these episodes with Obi-Wan, because it's a lot of story that I have always craved, right? Like that period of time where Obi-Wan's on Tatooine. We've never really seen a lot of that. Well, we've never seen it in live action. And so finally getting a chance to see that story told in a meaningful way has been really fantastic. Whereas like with Boba Fett, it was kind of like, oh, they're finally doing something with this character. Like,
yeah. I don't know. Boba Fett got shit on a lot, but I still liked it. I thought it was decent.
Yeah, no, I thought it was.
I mean, if anything, like the freaking biker gang, little scooter gang or whatever, they were by far the worst aspect of that show. I wish they would have. If we're getting on the topic of Book of Boba Fett, and I don't think we should go too far down this path, just if we want to cover this other stuff, but like it just still does bug me that those characters just seem so out of place on Tatooine, like in their chrome little moped or whatever. It just didn't feel like Tatooine to me, and that was the most egregious thing. Like they just didn't seem like part of the world. Like Star Wars, especially planets like Tatooine, supposed to be kind of run down and feel really lived in. And those guys felt like something straight out of like freaking, I don't know, Spy Kids or something. So
yeah, it definitely was the most tonally weird thing, I think, in the show.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it was a bad choice, but I do think it was a bold choice, is maybe what I'd say.
Yeah, bold.
Bold and bright, like the colors on their scooters.
Bold and brash.
Bold
freaking Squidward.
I call it bold and brash.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that pretty much wraps up Obi-Wan. All right, so Stranger Things, that's kind of the new hotness right now. That just came out. And so I think we both have gotten 4 episodes deep. Yeah.
I'm 4 deep.
Yeah, so there are currently seven? Yeah, 7 episodes available right now, and we're not going to get the final 2, or at least the next 2 until July. So, so we've gotten 4 episodes in. Yeah, what are some of your initial thoughts on Stranger Things so far? I feel like people's attitudes towards this show have waxed and waned quite a bit over the seasons, and I know this one to me has felt like a really strong showing already.
Yeah. I like the Freddy Krueger vibe of the whole thing. Like it definitely has even some of the music choice that they use, and just the kills in the show definitely have a Nightmare on Elm Street vibe to it, which I like a lot.
Well, actually having the actor who plays
Oh yeah,
Freddy
that's
Krueger
right.
being
Yeah, they
in
brought
the
in. I forgot. Oh,
episode.
man, why am I drawing a blank on the guy's name? I
So-
forgot about that. He plays a principal or something.
no,
Robert
he's
Englund? Is that right?
Rob. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Robert England.
Yeah.
England. Yeah.
I don't think I've seen him on the show yet. I think I would have recognized him.
No, you have seen him. He's
I
Victor
have?
Creel.
He's what?
He's Victor Creel.
Oh, really? That's him?
Yeah, that's him.
Oh, well,
yeah.
he was disgusting with his eyes the way.
hmm
Yeah, and man, how did I not know that?
Yeah, as soon as I saw him, I was like, wait a minute. And then I just looked at him and I was like, 1, 2,
Yeah.
Freddy's coming for you.
Yeah,
But,
I love the Nightmare on Elm Street, especially the first one, are just so it was really good. And actually, like, I wonder if this show is going to go sort of in the direction of the third one. I think it's Dream Warriors. That'd be pretty cool. I would like that quite a bit. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, apparently Vecna is like his design as a villain too is pretty heavily inspired by Freddy Krueger, which you can definitely tell by his one like kind of elongated finger hand, very, very knife hand-esque.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, no, I do like the show quite a bit. It's definitely, for me, it's definitely a vibe, which I like. Some of the stuff I like it for the majority of the show. I do like it. I don't want to start off on a negative tone. Why not? I'll just start off negative. I don't really like the Hopper stuff necessarily. I just kind of feel like when I was watching it, he's like an action hero now. I'm like, isn't this guy just like a small town cop? Like, why is he suddenly like able to ride a freaking snowmobile out of there and like avoid all this like sniper fire and like, I don't know, it just seemed a little ridiculous. That part did to me, but there's other scenes too. Obviously, they're kind of like obviously sort of ridiculous when the house they are in Southern California gets just lit up with like bullets from these like guys trying to break in, and that was like that was a little much for me. I kind of just like the more like less action movie stuff because that kind of takes me out of it a little bit. But overall, I think the stuff with Elle is really great. 11, and I think Max, like that final scene of episode 4 when she's running through the Upside Down, I think, I'm not sure where it is exactly, away from Vecna, and they're playing that I think it's Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush. I love that scene, and I've been listening to that song a lot since that episode, and yeah, it's been really fun. I actually like Max as a character this season. I felt like in the past I was kind of like on the fence about her, but I think she is much more engaging this time. And the other thing too, I don't like when shows do this. Like I hate that the two lovebirds are kind of on the rocks with each other. Like can't somebody just be happy for once?
Oh right, yeah. Well, I mean, like I guess to be fair, because it's shit. Why am I forgetting all their names? God
it's Nancy and the guy that apparently is just graduated high school. It looks like he's like
Jonathan.
a receding hairline, and
yeah, Nancy and Jonathan.
Jonathan looks like he's probably in his late 20s now. I don't know.
It's so funny how like I would say like out of all the Stranger Things kids, like the kid who plays oh my god, okay, I'm just looking up the cast. The kid who plays Will, Noah Schnapp, like that kid had a hell of a glow up. Like,
oh yeah, he
outside of
up
like his goofy kind of haircut in the show, he's a handsome dude. And then like people like in just the weirdest way were simping for like Finn Wolfhard, like even before this season came out, where he's markedly older. Like he's always had kind of that boyish charm to him, I guess. But also, yeah, like Lucas, Caleb McLaughlin, like all of them are just so grown up now compared. Even like I saw a thumbnail of Millie Bobby Brown on Hot Ones, and I'm just so not used to seeing her with so much hair. like,
yeah.
But yeah, no, No, I would agree. Like I think this season has been really good so far. What's the season that people generally don't like? Like was it season 2 or 3?
I think three.
Yeah,
And I
because
didn't think it was bad. I just think it was kind of like a repeat of things that happened before. And I think that was
yeah, what like
what
pissed
people didn't
people off.
like. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like I love these characters so much, and like getting to see more of the stories of them just interacting just really
Yeah.
brings my heart a lot of joy.
I just love I like the vibe a lot. It just kind of like brings me back to an age I never lived in, but
Hmm.
it's like the 80s is one of the generation that I feel like I have nostalgia for, but I didn't really live in it truly. I
Right.
mean, I was born like at the very tail end of it, but obviously I
Hmm.
wasn't aware of anything that was happening around me. But
No. Like, yeah, like that's kind of how I feel about the 90s. Like I was born in the early 90s, but like if you're a 9-year-old and like the tail end of the
yeah,
90s, like are you really that much of a 90s kid? I would argue no.
yeah, I kind of feel that way about the 90s too. There's like some stuff in it that I was aware of, but I definitely felt like you really do come to your own, I think, like during the middle school, high school years. That's like when your personality sort of forms. And
Yeah.
it seems like too, people generally say that they're from the place they went to high school, they attended high school in.
Hmm.
So I wouldn't be, if someone asked me, I'm like, I'm from Billings, Montana, even though
Yeah.
like in a way at this point that's almost kind of like debatable
Right.
where I'm actually from, because I mean I lived there between like ages of 8 and 18.
Hmm.
We're down to 10 minutes. Holy cow.
I know we blow through time.
Yeah, no, it's just weird though to think like I lived there for 10. I'm in Portland. I'm getting close to 10 years, and I lived in Bozeman for 5 years.
Right.
So during my life, like I only spent less than a third of my life in Billings at this point, which is kind of
Kind of weird to think
strange.
about it that way, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no. Like I mean, I guess generally when I say I'm from Billings, that is a fairly like true bit of information still, because I've only lived in Austin now for it's going on. We're going on our third year, I guess. Um, and but I lived in Billings for 3 years previously when I got my job there. Lived in Bozeman for most of the time I was going to college. That was 5 years, and then before that it was all Billings. So Billings is like mostly where I've lived
Yeah.
my whole life. With
Yeah, it's
some,
weird too to think that, because I mean, I know you've lived in Montana obviously the majority of your life, but you weren't born in Montana.
no, yeah,
So
like by the time I got to Montana, I think I was 5 years old.
yeah.
Very sure.
Well, I know
Yeah,
for me, like I was born in Montana, and then shortly after we left to go to South Dakota. So my earliest memories, coherent memories, are when I was in South Dakota.
right.
But I've not been back since, oddly enough. I would like to go back someday, but anyway, this is totally off topic.
I know,
There's one
right?
more thing I wanted to say. It is
Mhm.
weird for me. So when I'm in Oregon, and if someone asks me where I'm from, I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'm from Montana." If I'm in
Yeah,
Montana these days and someone asks me where I'm from, I'm like, "Oh, I'm from Oregon," because it's like easier to explain. Because if I'm like,
right.
"Oh, I'm from Montana," or I'm from here when I'm in Montana, it doesn't really explain the situation, since I've lived in Oregon now for 8 years, which
Right.
is weird. Oh my gosh.
I know if
Um,
you like have to explain. Well, I remember when we moved too, we had every intention of like having a like little, we were supposed to come back before we officially settled down there to have like a going away party, being like, hey, we're leaving the state. But then, the big vid happened and that wasn't an option anymore.
yeah.
So there are a lot of people that still don't know that I live here now. And which is really weird, but it seems like it's been way too long to like, what am I going to do? Go to Facebook and be like,
Hey guys.
so about the whole Montana thing. Yeah, not a thing anymore. Like,
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah, I mean, like, talking about the nostalgia of what Stranger Things is, like, it is really fun getting to experience that time frame through these lenses, because now we're like squarely in like that time where like D&D was being like super demonized by the masses, and that's really evident
the
in like the
satanic
football.
panic. Satanic panic.
Yeah, satanic panic, like, and that's really evident from the basketball team, right? Like just going absolutely apeshit. And which, by the way, they honestly scare me more than Vecna at this juncture. Like they are terrifying.
I'm really happy that I thought Lucas was gonna like betray his friends or something, or like there's gonna be a whole like subplot where he was like trying to figure out whose side he was gonna be on. I'm really glad they didn't go that direction. Like I get the beginning, like, oh man, I feel like I know what they're gonna do with this. Like he's not gonna like want to be with his friends anymore. He's like part of the cool kids now. But at the end, like he's probably gonna go back to his friends. And I was just like so happy they didn't really do that. Like
I know, like I mean, there's a lot of things that have changed that they really haven't gone into much, because we don't really have an explanation yet, really, for why Max and Lucas aren't together anymore, right? Like
it seemed like it was because she's just going through some emotional stuff because of her brother's death, and she just felt guilty or something.
But. Which makes a lot of sense. I'm honestly still surprised like they didn't hit a point in the show where like Elle and Mike were like not like having much cohesion anymore, like because the fact that it took 4 seasons to get to the point where it's like now they're on the rocks is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah,
because if there's one thing I have zero faith in, it is young love. And
yeah. So we got 5 minutes left. I'm just gonna briefly go over some of this other stuff that I had written down very, very briefly.
Sure.
I think some of the stuff we'll probably go into next week, but I don't think
rapid fire.
Some of the other stuff we're probably not going to. I did see the new Top Gun on Wednesday. I generally thought it was pretty good. I'm not usually into movies like this, but I liked it quite a bit, so I would recommend it. I actually watched the first Top Gun for the first time the same day, which I like the sequel more actually than and I think the sequel makes the first one better. But
that's an interesting.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I liked it quite a bit. Tom Cruise is like I don't even know how to describe this man honestly, but he has like the force of like God behind him or something. He really knows how to like put together a solid film, which good for him. I did start The Boys season 3. I'm 2 episodes in. I think we should start. Yeah, we should talk about that next week. I just wanted to throw it out there, something that I have been watching. Another recommended thing for me. So Norm Macdonald did release like a I'm probably gonna say this word wrong. Posthumous special, and he actually didn't film it in front of a live audience. He did it like on his computer. But the special is generally good. Like I liked it. It was pretty funny. But probably even better than the special, like the last half hour, is just a group of comedians that really loved him got together just to discuss a special, discuss his life. So they had David Letterman, Dave Chappelle, Conan O'Brien, Adam Sandler, David Spade, and there was also a woman there that had a familiar face, but I didn't know her as well as the other ones. And I could be forgetting, but like just the people in that room, like a lot of them I really admire and think are awesome. Like I love Dave Chappelle. I didn't realize how big of an impact Norm Macdonald had on his life, especially after his father died. And I love that Dave Chappelle was like almost crying during it. I was like, man, I love that so much. But it was just great to see all those guys getting together just to talk about their friends. I would recommend it just for that, just for the last half hour. I did watch South Park Streaming Wars, which was hilarious. I would recommend that one too. Like I felt like South Park was kind of going downhill recently, but this episode was pretty hilarious. Would definitely recommend. And then got caught up with Barry and Hacks. HBO Max is just freaking dominating this like 30 minute comedy stuff. It's great. Like HBO Max is a great service. Lastly, Love, Death and Robots season 3. I did finish it. I liked it quite a bit. But Matt's going to watch it. We're going to talk about it. I think next week we'll probably, if Matt gets caught up, we'll definitely talk about Obi-Wan episode 4. I'm thinking probably more Stranger Things stuff.
Right.
Definitely The Boys, I'm assuming, if you get around to watching that.
I really do want to watch The Boys.
maybe Love, Death, and Robots when you get around to that one. So that's a lot to get caught up on for you, though.
It is, but I mean, the thing is like I
Oh,
really
and freaking
love.
sorry, and
Mhm. Yeah.
Miss Marvel starts next week too. So there you go.
Oh my God, yeah, God, we're gonna have so much. We're gonna have to start stitching these together because there's no fucking way we can get
Yeah.
through. Because we always end up on our tangents, but that's like half the fun.
Dude, honestly, I'm kind of liking keeping things to like around 40 minutes. I think it works better. So
Yeah. No, I think it does help keep us focused because then we're like, oh shit, I've been talking about pants for 20 minutes. What happened? Like,
I know I'm not wearing any.
No. Would you like to know? But no, yeah, all of it. There's so many things coming out right now. I can't believe that like The Boys, Stranger Things, Obi-Wan, and Ms. Marvel are all coming out at the same time. So, but we will hopefully get caught up and we will talk about all these things at length at some juncture. So, that being said, I want to thank you all for joining us today for this episode of the Nerds of the North podcast. And we will see you all next week on next week's episode.
And thanks, Zoom, for making us keep this to 40 minutes, I guess. So,
yeah, you empirical bastards.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.